This is your host, Laura Winters, the heart-led pathfinder, intuitive energy healer, speech-language pathologist, and owner of Your Light Holistic Therapy and Wellness, LLC. Welcome to Miracle in Time, a mini-series podcast that brings you the stories of beautiful humans exploring the synchronicities, blessings, and miracles within our perception of time. It illustrates that events are not just happening to us, but for us. Life isn't always rainbows and butterflies, but it is a miracle in time. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Miracle in Time. My name is Laura. I'm your host. And this is actually the second podcast that I've had. I'm excited for this because I can see this being able to grow with me. So one of my biggest problems with trying to come up with a new podcast idea is that we always have this big theme that we're working with, and that's how my other podcast was. So it was one theme, and you could evolve just a little bit, but you still had to stay in the confines of it. So this Miracle in Time podcast is really special because it's going to be a mini-series podcast in that we will have kind of a general theme for a certain number of weeks, and I will speak to guests or have episodes myself, and then we'll be able to evolve and shift with whatever's happening in the world or what's happening within me or anything. So I'm really excited about it. So I want to tell you a little bit about me. I say my journey began it's almost close to 5 years ago. But I'm sure it began way before that. I was working in a skilled nursing facility as a speech language pathologist, and I had thought that I was going to retire there. I kept saying that I was just going to retire here. It was so wonderful. I loved it. I loved the people that I worked with, everything. I just loved everything about it. And then COVID happened, and that woke up a lot of people. I wasn't there yet, but looking back at COVID, there's been such an evolution since then. And so anyway, so at that time, families weren't allowed to come in. Patients actually coming in was they had slowed that. So there wasn't much work to be had. And we had this opportunity for being furloughed, and they had refused to do it over and over. So their solution was having us come in and working in the kitchen or cleaning. And one day I was on cleaning duty, and I went to, fill up the cleaning supplies, and I took the sprayer out of the bottle, and it went boom right into my eyes, because at the time I wore contacts, and so I didn't realize it till a little bit later, but I had heavy duty grease release in both of my eyes. So I was in the kitchen at the time, so I went to the eye wash station, I turned it on, and it immediately got steaming, like very, very hot, and I knew that wasn't good. So I went to the the kitchen manager, and she brought me up to the second floor eye wash station that was in the kitchen. And again, the same thing. It was super hot. So I got in the elevator, and by that time things started burning pretty good. And we got to the third floor again, and that one, the eye wash station, didn't work at all. So I grabbed some cups and started rinsing my eyes out, which is water from the spigots, or from the tap, just trying to get it out of my eyes. And at that time she had said, "Do you have contacts in your eyes?" And I said, "I do." And I'm so thankful that she said that when she did, because when I peeled them off my eye, it felt like I was peeling skin off my eye. Like if they would have stayed there any longer, they probably would have been secured to the eyeball. So I pulled both of them out, continued to rinse. And by the time they had got maintenance up to work on the eye wash station, he had turned it on and it was full blast. I mean, I say it's like Chris Farley in Tommy Boy when he's being shot with the gasoline or whatever. It was like a water hose, and I had water drenched all over my face, my head, down my body. I was standing in a puddle of water, and it was so super traumatic. And once that was just too much, I mean, I could hardly breathe when that was happening. There's just water flowing down my face. And once that was over, I called my husband, the nurse practitioner, to come in and said, you have to go to the hospital. Called my husband and told him what was happening, and went and tried to change clothes because I was sopping wet from head to toe, and then got taken to the hospital. It was almost like I couldn't cry at all, like it was so traumatic. The best thing that I could have done for myself was to cry, to just get whatever it was in tear ducts, everything out. But I literally could not cry. And I just kept envisioning not being able to see my kids walk down the aisle, not being able to see their beautiful faces as they grow. Like, there were so many things I was picturing, like I wouldn't be able to see. And by the time everything was done, I was sent to I believe he's an ophthalmologist, under workman's comp. And if anybody has had a workman's comp case, they don't do the right things for you. I mean, hopefully there are some out there, but in my experience, this guy was horrible. And it was really sad because later on, when I was really deep in depression and needing someone to help, I had put on a Facebook group, who's the best for dry eye disease, because that's what ended up happening as a result of all this. They said the man that I had seen under the workman's comp case was the best in town. And it was really horrible to hear that this was the guy who was the best around, and must not believe me or whatever. I don't know what the situation was, but yeah, I mean, just didn't take me seriously. So in his initial evaluation, he had told me, in 2 to 3 days, you're going to be totally fine. There's not going to be any issues. There's no, couldn't see anything on the surface or anything like that. And, so I was under the impression that everything was going to go away, and then it didn't. And I was having burning, and I was having a severe dryness of the eye where I'd wake up in the morning and I'd have to almost peel my eyelids open. And every time I'd go back and see him, he'd say there's nothing wrong. And, I could tell that there was just a difference. The doors are always open, and he would be in talking to somebody else about how he'd ride his bike and, seeing all these people and had a great weekend. And then he'd walk in with me and I go, hey, how you doing? And it was totally different. Okay, there was no rapport building at all. And all I wanted was some help because I was having such difficulty. And what I found through my journey was that even some of the simple tests for dry eye disease, he just never did. He just said it's just not there. And so, I mean, in hindsight is all for good reason, right? I had a journey to be on that was going to displace me from where I was. And so I needed to go through those hard times. I needed to hit those roadblocks in order to find the path that I needed to be on. So I ended up seeing another doctor who actually listened to my story and believed me. And what I found was that everything was solely in conventional medicine, right? When there's an issue that happens acute, you're there, but then because COVID was really going on, we were in the thick of it. I couldn't get into my normal doctor. And with the depression and anxiety that I was suffering, I didn't have the capacity to say, okay, well, let's make it for a month out and we'll go. It was just like, okay, just forget it. I just don't want to I just can't do this. And so I had been led to some Facebook groups and was getting some information from other people that was really, really helpful. And I did a lot of things that were very unconventional, and they really, really helped me. So during COVID, my views on so many things changed. And so what ended up happening was I became an ambassador for a medical freedom group, and I met someone who was a health coach, a functional health coach. And I said, maybe you can help me. And so the first time I saw her, I actually think it was just the first time I saw her, we didn't even address the eyes. At that time I was having, sorry about this, TMI, but I was having persistent diarrhea for 6 months. And it was after I had bought some sushi grade tuna from a very nice health store. And I ate it and I got sick, and it just would not let up. So anyway, first session with her, she did some body work. She put her hands on my stomach, did some things, and then said, tomorrow you're going to have solid stools. And I was like, oh, okay. All right, let's see how that goes. Well, the next day I did. I woke up, had solid stool. First time in 6 months. Didn't believe it at all. So I wasn't going to text her right away. I was going to see how this panned out. And so the next day happened, solid stool. The next day happened, solid stool. And I was like, what is going on here? I am so excited to be able to offer a low-cost healing option for moms out there that are overcome by guilt from medical decisions. I am healing the guilt from making medical decisions early on in my children's life that I honestly didn't know any better. As a result, they have chronic illness, and I am often reminded that they have their own journeys too. Love is how we heal our guilt, and we don't have to do it alone. Join us in Healing Medical Mom Guilt. You can register on the website at yourlightllc.com/scheduling. So anyway, the next time I saw her, said, you were totally right, solid stool. Okay, let's keep going. So we decided we're going to work on the eyes. So she put her hand over my right eye because that was the one that was the worst, or felt the worst. And within 30 seconds, a minute, she started gasping for air. She started almost kind of choking. And at the time I'm like, are you okay? What's going on? She's like, no, it's okay. Just releasing some things here, feeling lots of things. I don't know exactly what it is. And by the time she got done, which it seemed like a couple minutes, I don't know, maybe it's longer. It's been years. So, she said, how does your eye feel? And at that time I had been experiencing a pain of 8 out of 10 all the time. And that was a combination of dryness and burning and pain. And it was a 2. It was a 2 out of 10. And I had never, it had been, oh gosh, it had been a long time, almost close to a year. I feel like 9 months. And I don't know, I can't even remember the timeline. And it was just gone, just like that, almost gone. And I was like, what did you do? You obviously did something, but there wasn't anything she didn't do anything. There wasn't anything in my eye. There wasn't anything on my eye. It was literally her hands, and that was it. And we couldn't make sense of what she was experiencing. And it took me a while to come to figure out what was going on in the first place, because I'd never experienced this before. And then secondly, so I had never experienced that before. And then so to be able to it took a while to comprehend what was really happening. And so what I came to realize is that the things that she was experiencing in that moment, the gasping for air, the almost feeling like you're choking, you can't breathe, that's exactly what I was feeling when I was standing there with my eyes being pelted with water as it was rolling down my face. I had to keep turning my head away in order to be able to breathe because the water was so strong. And then it was another thing, like, how in the world could she have felt that? Right? So anyway, she had worked on the other eye, and the other eye had also decreased in a significant amount of pain in one session. And so what I realized is that there's something more out there that we're missing out on. And that was a very pivotal moment for me. So what I learned was that I wasn't having physical pain. I was having emotional pain from the experience, the traumatic experience that had happened. She had to tell my eyes, you did not go blind. And that's essentially what went through my mind as this was happening. Now, after the fact, if you look up the eyeballs of people who have been exposed to this heavy duty grease release, I should be totally blind. Like, my eyes should be totally melted. And yet I was spared. And it could have been the contacts, it could have been the situation, but I know that this was my journey. This was a piece of the puzzle that I needed to experience something that completely knocked me off course, because what I had in mind was that I was going to retire from this place of work. What I learned through that situation was I was not aligned with this place of work at all. And it wasn't where I needed to be. So months later, I moved on, and I was very happy to let that go and release that. Now, anger and lots of things persisted for a very long time, and occasionally things get kicked up and you feel those things again. But, you know, after the situation now, it was 4 years. It took me 4 years to heal my eyes. And now I can say I personally don't feel like I have any symptoms of dry eye disease anymore. So that's pretty powerful, right? This is a condition that they say that will never, ever go away. It will just progress. And what I learned through that was that situation was there to essentially open my eyes to something way more than I had ever thought before. And in that experience, part of the healing journey was learning about podcasting. So I knew that I needed to help more people to see a different way away from conventional medicine, that there are these other things out there that you can utilize to heal yourself, because your body knows how to heal as long as it's given the opportunity and the right situation in order to do that. So I created the podcast, and I met a lot of really nice people, and I talked to other people who had kind of gone some unconventional ways and also very conventional ways of healing dry eye disease. And then I felt this pull to really start getting into a spiritual sense of this. And when I did, the community backlash, I felt very strongly. And it was totally fine. I think that if I would have heard something like this in the thick of my depression and anxiety, I would have totally been upset by it as well, because you can't conceptualize the things that might make you better if it just doesn't make sense in your mind. And so what I realized was it was very much time for me to move on, because I had done the healing, and it was time for me to allow that to be in the past and move forward. So in that separation from that podcast, I love podcasting, and I knew that I needed to do something else. So here I am, Miracle in Time. Now, I really think that this title of Miracle in Time is hilarious, because if you really go, or even if you don't go deep in the spiritual world, because it's, or in the realm, whatever, the people who talk about it, it's very much out there that time does not exist, that time is not linear, that this concept that maybe all of the timelines are occurring at the same time. So for me, the title of Miracle in Time is very funny because, you kind of learn that time doesn't exist. But I had a different idea for a podcast, which I very much like. It was going to be like probably twice the amount of work that this one is. And not that I was afraid of the work, but it was just going to be a full-time job. And so as I have learned that there's sometimes waiting in what you want, and you also need to listen for the information to come through. So I don't know if I was meditating or what, or is the first thing that happens in the morning, because a lot of times I get downloads or information right in that waking state. I'm barely cognizant, and it's like boom, 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 there's some information, and I have to hold on to that and then move with it throughout the day. So the information that I got for the name of the podcast was Miracle in Time. And I had worked with actually shifting the time to times, because talking about miracles in lots of different times, but it didn't work out that way. So I had to come back to the title that was given to me, Miracle in Time. And it's kind of interesting because, or I think it's kind of cool because each moment of time is a miracle. Every single moment in time, where you are, what you're doing, who you're with, everything is a miracle. Everything is just divinely orchestrated to bring you to that moment, to where you are. And we look at things that are negative as bad. We look at the positive things as good. And we have these charges based on the situations, but it really comes down to that so many things are put along our journey for a specific reason. And you can reason all day long about why they're happening or whatever, and you may never know. And that's part of the journey as well. You're going to know some of the reasons, you're not going to know for other things, and that's okay. What you need to know is that you are being divinely held in every moment of every single day. So when you think that you are down and depressed and hopeless and anxious and all of the things, that's right where you need to be. And what you need to realize is that you are not alone in that, and not alone with another human being, but you are not alone with and of yourself. That you have a team with you at all times, guiding you, showing you the way, giving you information. And part of my awakening was to realize that I am not alone, and I am being guided so much. And things that I would have ignored prior to all of this stuff happening, I don't ignore anymore. Because that incident with the eyes and the chemical and everything, that was a way for me to wake up. So I was on a path that I didn't need to be on anymore. I wasn't listening. Wake up. And that's what happened. And so we can be mad at the universe. We can be mad at God. We can be mad at anything. But each situation that you are involved in is beauty and is a miracle. And you may not understand it in this lifetime. You may only understand it beyond the veil. And that's okay. And so Miracle in Time, the podcast, is going to talk about those miracles. And they may be positive miracles, and they may be negative miracles. And the information may not even specifically pertain to a miracle at all. And it's knowing that all those pieces of information are the miracle themselves. So I really, really hope that you enjoy this podcast. I could probably talk a million times more about all of the things that happened, but that's just the introduction. I just want you to know how it came to be, to hear a little bit about my podcasting journey and what started it all. And I have so much more to say, but this is just the beginning. And so I'm really excited for this journey. You'll learn more about me. You'll learn more about some amazing people that have provided miracles in my life. And I hope that I am led to other people to provide miracles together and to be able to provide them for you as well. So I really hope that you come back and you continue to listen to Miracle in Time. The topics are going to be so much fun. They're going to be shifting. So they're going to be very much in the physical world, very much in the spiritual world, I'm sure in the emotional world as well, all over. And if you have something to contribute to the podcast, if you have a miracle or you're doing amazing things or you have a struggle, then please reach out. I would love to hear from you and see how we can make miracles together. So welcome to Miracle in Time. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And I hope you have just a great time listening. Thank you. Thank you for listening to Miracle in Time. If you would like to explore a theme or know someone perfect for this podcast, please fill out a form on yourlightllc.com/podcast. If you would like to learn more about my services, you can visit the website at yourlightllc.com. I want you to remember that with all life's ups and downs, you are divinely held and guided throughout your journey. Don't miss out on this miracle in time.